Hey y'all, it's Jules the Tutor. Look what I got. You got to find the milliliters per hour from micrograms per kilogram per minute. We've been to do this. And you may want to have a beverage to take a swallow just in case you vomit in your mouth. But anyway, dobutamine, 2 micrograms per kilogram per minute. All right, go and take a swallow. This says the doctor wants 2 micrograms for every single kilogram this patient has. And the answer that you get will be the micrograms per minute, okay? And then it tells you he weighs 180 pounds. And then the dobutamine you have in your hand is 250 and 500 milliliters. But she wants you to calculate the micrograms per kilogram per minute. The first thing you have to do is convert that weight to kilograms. And I want you to know you're going to divide by 2.2. You're not going to multiply. You will divide. Because I'm healthy, so I can say this. A fat girl wants to hear her weight in kilograms. Look, she could be 350 pounds, but when we divide it by 2.2, she is 159.1 after we round. Don't that sound better? So I hope this makes a memory in your frontal lobe to divide. 180 divided by 2.2 equals. All right, we're not freaking. If the problem is not requiring you to write down the kilograms, it doesn't say how many kilograms round to the tenths or hundreds, then we're going to keep every single digit. Yeah, we are. And we're going to take this and multiply it by 2 times 2. Okay. And she said to round this to the tenths. And the tenths place is one place after the decimal. So it's 163.6. But when you're rounding, you have to look at the hundredth to see if it's 4 or less. Then the 6 will stay the same. If it's 5 or higher, then the 6 will go up 1 to a 7. And so they are 163.6 micrograms per minute, what Mr. Man wants. Now, I always say he would have done his own calculations, but he got called to surgery. So here we are, doing his math for him again. Anyway, so look, that's his weight. So the micrograms per minute will be 163 microgram per minute. But she wants us to count the milliliters per hour. So this is per minute, and because we are grown, we're going to multiply that sucker times 60 minutes, and that's going to give us the micrograms per hour. You have to make peace inside yourself that it's probably going to take most of this page to work the problem. Times 60. All right. You see, he wants him to get 9,816 micrograms per hour. Okay, so this is the new dose ordered after we did all the calculating. And look, what we have in our hand is 250 milligrams. This is micrograms, so you're going to have to convert one of them. I'm going to convert these milligrams to micrograms because I'm grown and I want to do that. Okay. I'm going to make a new card, but if we're converting milligrams to micrograms, this tells you to move your decimal that way. You have to remember it's 3 places. And I'm going to put 250 milligrams. And let me remind you why it's 3 places. In the metric system, they have kilogram, hectogram, decagram, and a gram. But in medicine, we don't deal with hecas and decas. So we have you go 1, 2, 3 when you're moving the decimal. This tells you which way to move the decimal. You have to just remember it's 3 places. Look, from gram to milligram, there's a decigram and a histogram, but we don't deal with the decis and histos. And so we go 1, 2, 3. And it continues on. So you have to know, this will tell you which way to move your decimal. And you will now, in Jesus' name, remember that it's 3 places. So for the 250 milligrams, the decimal is behind that whole number. And we're moving it to the right. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm adding them zeros. See how I dipped real down? So that I would put the correct number of zeros. So it's going to be 250,000 micrograms. What is in our hand? Okay, so let's set up the equation. Get a swaller. 9816 micrograms is what he wants. What we have in our hand, we got 250,000. We microgram rich. And how do these micrograms come? In 500 milliliters. If you convert the 250 to micrograms, then you avoid the cluster of the rounding on this. So I'm just, it's a little, you're welcome. All right. And then we're going to do this math. If she wants to see your work, tell her, look right here. You see how I put their last names? So there wouldn't be any question in her mind. Julie knows. Julie knows. All right, so this fraction says the top number divided by the bottom number. And when you hit equal, you're not done. You got to multiply it by the 500. So we already got it in our calculator because we're doing it together. And then we're going to divide that by 250,123. Count your zeros. That's wisdom. And then we're going to it don't matter what it is, we still got to multiply it times 500. And so this is going to be 19632, and the 6 is going to round that up because it needs to be a whole number when you're calculating milliliters per hour or drops per minute, unless the instructions tell you differently. This will round up to 20 milliliters per hour. Look, boom. We sure enough did save them. Yeah, we did. Simply how we roll. You like it? Did it help you? Would you stop right now and just hit like? Maybe save it. Maybe put in the comments, we sure enough did save them. And because it helps a girl out. I don't know how long this video is, but I'm going to go and do this one too. This is dopamine, 8 micrograms per kilogram per minute. And their weight is 132 pounds. You know, the first thing we have to do before anything else is convert that weight. So let's do that. Get your calculator. 132 divided by 2.2. Look, that's a smooth 60. Isn't that sweet of them? 60 kilograms. Now back to this equation. Mr. Man wants 8 micrograms for every single kilogram. So we're going to multiply these 60 kilograms by 8 micrograms. Oh, yeah. Okay. Times 8 equals. And that is going to be 480 micrograms per minute. And then we got to put it on a pump. And round to the nearest tenth. Okay. All right. Now, look, I know I just said you got to put a whole number. That's if they didn't tell you this right here. But we're going to just round it because it'll make her be okay inside herself. Okay, all right. So 480 micrograms per minute. You know we got to multiply this times 60 minutes. So when you say per minute, you're not vomiting in your mouth. You're not trying to read the rest of the word through tears. You're grown. And you can multiply that sucker times 60. All right. I believe you're picking up what I'm putting down. Times 60. Look, don't that make you want to round it? 28800. And this is micrograms per minute. You see how we did this? Boom, boom. If you can do it like a machine, it's going to make it easier for you. And look, what we have in our hand is 400 milligrams. And these are micrograms. So we're going to have to do something. Let's change the milligrams to micrograms. 400 is a whole number. And the decimal's understood to be at the back. And so, look, milligrams to micrograms, we're going to the left. And you know it's 3 places. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to seat those sucker down in there. And so what we have in our hand is now 400 micrograms. You see that? 400,000 micrograms per 250 milliliters. Okay, so then we're setting up our problem. This is what he wants. 28800. This per hour, my bad. Micrograms. And then 400. 1, 2, 3 micrograms. And how does our 400,000? Yeah, we microgram rich. It comes in 250 milliliters. Look, there's that. We saved them on that. So we're taking this number and dividing it by 400,000. 400, 1, 2, 3. If you count them zeros, you only have to work it one time. Times 250, look, it's going to be 18 milliliters per hour. Oh, I did. Okay. And then we did. Okay. This is all that we did, but look, there's the answer. And yeah, you know what we did. We sure enough saved another one. Okay. Look, thank you for watching. I'm glad you're here. I hope it helped. Y'all have a good day.